Do you know what I'm finding the most challenging thing about being a new booktuber? Well, we'll get to that. First of all, the absolute excitement of it all. It's quite overwhelming, actually. It's something that I'm enjoying immensely. But now I'm like, It's the most exciting thing that's happened to me in a long, long time. So thank you to everybody for your incredible support. It's just the best thing ever. I get to read books and talk about them with you lovely people on the internet. It just doesn't get any better, you know what I mean? So let's talk about the challenging things. I'm going to talk about mental health here, and I'm going to do it in my typical rambly style, which doesn't seem to put many of you off. So, you know, imposter syndrome can just do one, and I'll carry on. And hopefully this will be useful, because I've had a few comments from people saying that they would like themselves to start a BookTube channel, and one or two of you have said you feel inspired to do so after having seen my BookTuber newbie tag video, which, you know, makes me so happy. You should do it, by the way. You definitely should do it. Yeah, mental health. There's some definite attention deficit disorder going on. It's in my family. I'm not going to get too much into that, but I'm almost certain that it runs in me. This is something I started exploring, well, maybe 2 years ago, something like that, but I've got more serious about it, and I've been reading more books about it middle to the end of last year. And interestingly, that's kind of why I'm here now. That's what brought me into BookTube. It was when I read a book towards the end of last year called Driven to Distraction. And I then went onto Goodreads to look at the reviews. And while I was doing that, I found a review from someone called Plant-Based Bride. And she mentioned that she had done a book review video on her channel about this book and about 3 others, all around attention deficit disorder, or attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. The one I read talks more specifically about ADD. It kind of removes the hyperactivity component of it. And what was great about the book was that it had a large section where it discussed different people who had been diagnosed as adults with ADD, and that's obviously what appeals to me the most, because I am an adult after all. So that's what led me into BookTube in a kind of circuitous route, because I started following Plant-Based Bride, I started watching her videos, joined her Patreon, and I started to think, maybe I could do this. Now, as I said in my newbie video, the primary purpose of this is for me to retain the information that I'm reading better and to remember what I've read. And I know that attention deficit disorder, one of the symptoms, or the symptoms, is that information retention, short-term memory retention is affected. So that's what's causing me the biggest challenge. Last year I read 42 books, something like that. And now that I've started the channel, I'm starting to look back through what I've just read recently and think, oh, I would love to do a video about that. Oh, this one as well, including Driven to Distraction. I'd love to do a review on it. But when I read it, it was audiobook. I was driving, I wasn't taking notes, I wasn't highlighting, I wasn't underlining, I wasn't doing any of that. And so if I were to do a review of that book now, it would be quite lacking in detail. You'd get the overall vibe, and you'd get how I liked it, but you wouldn't really get much of the detail. And yesterday, I was excited, I was feeling energetic. I thought, right, I'm going to make a video about a book that I read. Finished it on the 25th of December. It's called The Years of Rice and Salt by Kim Stanley Robinson. In fact, I have it right here. This one. And I sat down to make the video. In fact, I did make the video. But I don't think it was terribly good. And do you know why? I don't recall a lot of the details. they're just not there. Now, I finished it, as I said, December 25th. It's not that long ago. And yet, if I were to try and describe the plot, I could only do it in a kind of rudimentary way. Now, maybe that's good enough for BookTube. Maybe you don't want the plot described. Maybe, I mean, definitely spoilers are an issue, that I don't want to be giving out spoilers of the book. And as I look through my shelf and I see all the books that I would love to review, I'm like, I don't feel that I could do them justice. Now, maybe that's imposter syndrome. Maybe I could do them justice. Maybe I just need to practice this and to get better. This is another challenge. I'm not new to making videos. I've been doing it for a while. I'm quite comfortable on camera. I quite enjoy it, actually. That probably comes across. But book reviews, I'm quite new to it. In fact, I'm very new to it. I have written essays in the past about classic Russian literature, particularly. That was a long time ago, and they weren't terribly good. So that's the only expertise I have to draw upon in terms of book reviews. But maybe I'm being unkind. I've certainly read many, many book reviews, and I often find myself agreeing with everything they say and not really believing that my opinion has any validity. And that's not true. So this is why making this kind of video here, where I'm discussing books online in a public forum, is a really good thing for my growth, for my personal development, to help me to make videos that are challenging, to do something, first of all, that's challenging, which is to read a book with a view to making a review of it, so that I'm reading more deeply. I am taking notes. I'm considering themes, tropes, different things that could come up in a review, and that probably will once I get more used to it. I'm just editing the video now, and it dawns on me that I may not have actually given you the answer to what is the biggest challenge for me as a new booktuber. It's information retention, it's recall, it's looking at all the books that I've read recently and wondering if I can make a video about them now, or if I have to reread them in order to do that. And I suspect that the answer is the latter. And I'm sure it's to do with my ADD, but it might not be. Is this an issue that you have learned how to deal with? Give me some tips if you have them. Thanks. So for personal growth, I think making videos of books is a really valuable thing. And I also believe, and I've touched on this before, that the creative act, the act of making something new, is a way of connecting to a higher power and can be incredibly therapeutic. This is not a new idea, the idea that making art, that creativity is a means of therapy. It's not a new idea, and I endorse it. And that's why I'm going to keep going. That's why I want to read more books and talk about more books, and to watch your videos about books, and to listen to what you're reading, and to get more deep into the book world, because it's just incredible, the support that I've had. I've never experienced anything like it. And I've been on the internet for a long time, So I say again, thank you. And if you are considering starting a BookTube channel and you feel afraid, you feel that nobody cares what you have to say, first of all, you're wrong. And secondly, you're going to learn a lot about yourself as you make content about the things that you love. It's going to be therapeutic. At least that's how it is for me. So I just wanted to say that and to get these thoughts down while I'm a new booktuber. And anyone who's thinking about it can maybe look back and see the thoughts of somebody who's new to making videos about books on YouTube. and what it felt like at the beginning of that journey. So, hope this has been helpful. Let me know your thoughts. If you've been around for a long time doing this on BookTube, how did it feel at the beginning? How did you manage to keep going? What kept you going? What about the dark nights of the soul? What tips do you have? How do you annotate, take notes, retain information, plan your videos? These are all super interesting topics that we could get into. So maybe we could start a new tag style of video along the lines of, you're on BookTube, how do you do it? I'll leave it there and I'll go and walk Clover because she hasn't been out yet and she's getting quite desperate. So thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and I'll see you again, possibly with a review of this. I might put out the one I recorded yesterday and I might redo it and try and do a better job. So thanks for watching, see you in the next one, bye for now.